All right, people, we are back ready to do our week 10 picks in the association. Ready, Killer?
Do it, man. I got some hot takes.
All right, well, let's get to it then.
Mm,
Great Danes take on Chennai Games Dame Stop. They've been really hot lately. Um,
mhm.
Finding ways to win games. They're finding ways to win. But but I just have complete faith in my team when it comes to this matchup. I think we should be able to pull it out. We've been in a couple of tough matchups these last couple of weeks, and I think we should be able to follow through and get another win here. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. It's getting quite concerning with GameStop. I mean, you know, I'm betting against them, right? Because I'm trying to get a lottery pick. And I think they're gonna deliver. I think I'm feeling fairly confident that they're gonna deliver that lottery pick, man, because Harrison Barnes, he's banged up. Don't know what his situation is, right? They're now saying he's questionable, so we'll see. Schroeder's out. Cousins is, you know, is is
Yeah,
where he's at.
yeah.
And so
Since you mentioned Boogie, let's talk about that for a second. Rumor has it that he and the Rockets may be separating. Um, Something about you know I think is really about his role and probably not getting the kind of minutes or burn that he really wants, or being featured as much as he thinks he should. Um, if he does part ways with the Rockets, where would you like him to end up?
right next to my man Dame Dollar, I think Portland is a great place for him to go.
I like it.
Um, they could use a player like Boogie. Um, grab some rebounds, can create here and
Mhm.
there. Could give a good quality 20 or so minutes. Because they're struggling at that position. And if and when they play the Lakers, or like the Utah Jazzes of the world, or the Denver Nuggets, Cousins is a nice body to have there.
Yeah, I like it. But one thing's for sure, I don't know how much it's gonna really affect his fantasy value. I wasn't really super high on his fantasy value this year. Um, but in terms of Dame stop, you know, they've got Kelly Oubre who's been stepping up and he's been a really good play for them lately. So they have a shot. But as you mentioned, no Harrison Barnes, no Dennis Schroeder, no,
And
they've got a
and if all fails, don't worry. Draymond Green will find a way for them to lose a game. He'll get a couple technical fouls or have two turnovers, whatever it takes in the fantasy sense to bring home a loss. He'll do that for the Dame stop. I can guarantee you that.
I like it. I like it. We're going with the Great Danes for this one. Amherst takes on the King Landing Kings, who just came off of beating Solid State. Do you have any hope for King's Landing here?
Yeah, this is a tough matchup. Like it's really close. Amherst Speedsters is getting dangerous now that the INGs are starting to reduce. Um, and my man Bubble Murray is starting to put on a show. He just had a 50 piece. And he looks like he's getting rolling. And Shea's playing well, as you said, earlier. Um, I'm not a big Michael Porter guy, but he's at least given more than 0 points. So I mean, things are all positive for the Amherst Speedsters. going into a matchup against King's Landing. I know King's Landing made some moves. So I'm interested to see, kind of what his starters looks like. King's Landing, don't forget to, set your lineup before 7 p.m. That's when the lineup's locked. You want to make sure that you get some of these new guys that you picked up into the lineup. I pick Amherst. I think Amherst Speedsters here, but I think it's like really close. Like I could easily see King's Landing winning this matchup.
Yeah, I think it depends on, like you mentioned, King's Landing had a few pickups that could work out in their advantage. Um, you know, the only thing I'm nervous about is whether it's too late or not for those pickups. So what I mean is, King's Landing picked up Justin Jackson, who had a few good games a couple of weeks ago, but maybe a week ago or so. I haven't seen the same production from him lately. He also picked up Dylan Brooks, who had been performing pretty well, but is now injured. So he may not be available for to be in the lineup, and that's unfortunate because Kings Landing was already dealing with a lot of injuries to their bench. Uh, he also picked up, I believe it was Grayson Allen, who was hot like a week and a half ago. Hasn't been the same guy, or had the same opportunity in these last few games. So um, these are really streamer type players. Um, he's gonna have to hope that they get hot again. But yeah, Bubble Murray is a real thing. He looks like he's maybe turned a corner or turned the light on. And he looks pretty good these last couple of games. Last really 3 or 4 games, he's been lighting it up. So if that happens, he should be able to take this matchup. I'm gonna go with Speedsters in this one. What do you think about Beantown and True Grit matchup?
Beantown and True Grit. True Grit is it's just tough for me to pick him against a contender, especially with, their roster. So Anthony Davis down. I know he's coming off a victory, but it was against the Syracuse Sparrows, and, they're no formidable matchup. Whereas the Beantown Bombers, I know Woods, not returning. Kevin Durant is kind of shaky, but I don't even think Beantown Bombers needs those guys. I mean, it's 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 just Zach Levine. Zach Levine is putting the team on its back, and I think Beantown Bombers is just gonna he's just gonna do whatever it takes to beat the True Grit. If they lose against True Grit, it's gonna be concerning, but it'll also you know talk about just the inconsistencies of that team. When you get comfortable with picking and choosing them.
Yeah, same thing. I think right now, True Grit, especially with losing Anthony Davis, I don't think they have enough to compete with the Bombers at this point. Um, you know, right now they're depending very heavily on Jalen Brown, who, as you mentioned, is having an All-Star season. But yeah, even without Kevin Durant, if I think Kevin Durant may be back next week, I hope, but no Christian Wood probably. I still think the Bombers have enough to win, so I'm gonna go with the Bombers. Bimtown Celtics take on Titanes de San Juan. What are you seeing in this matchup?
See, Luke has been resting, and he's gonna be ready to, put up those numbers and, prove why, he should be starting for the All-Star team out west. And Zion's been incredible. Scary Terry's making me a believer. And Bimtown's the hottest team in the association right now, and so they're just really dangerous. Whereas the Titans of San Juan, they go wherever Utah goes. I will point out they've got a what looks like a four-game lead going in, but this team is just very inconsistent. They excel in the defensive categories, and Bimtown doesn't care about defense. They put up 2 blocks last week. 2 blocks. two
Wow.
blocks. I got a player that put up more than 2 blocks. So I mean, block as many shots as you want, Rudy Gobert and Chris Boucher. The Bimtown Celtics don't care. You need to put up points. You need to shoot good field goals. You need to have the threes because they're just gonna be bringing it. And so, yeah, this is quite easily Bimtown for me, despite being down in games.
Um, on the other side, you know, Buddy Hield and Chris Boucher really haven't been great as of lately, but um, you know, inconsistencies. If they can string they've surprised us before, and as you mentioned, they have a few games lead. Maybe they surprise against this week, but not that hopeful for it. I'm gonna go with Bimtown. Phoenix take on the money men, man. Phoenix have dropped a couple in the last 2 weeks. You don't want to make this a
Yeah.
third week, do you?
Nah, I don't want to make that a pattern, man. It's been rough. But we're fortunate, right? Because we're playing money men when they might not be at full strength. I mean, they certainly won't have CJ. DeMar DeRozan is kind of looking more than likely now because I know they've got at least one more game postponed. For week 10. Um, and money men, you know, their guard play is just sus. I know they're getting Mike Conley back, but I look at the guys that they have in their lineup, and I'm like, if we can't overcome and we can't beat these guys, then I'm going to be serious concerned about the roster. I might have to start, testing out the trade market. But Phoenix is happy to finally have Paul George and Cat back in the lineup at the same time. So it's going to be the first time in a while. Ben Simmons is been in and out with like illness, but I think he'll hopefully be over that. He was able to play today and played quite well. But yeah, I think this should be a straightforward victory for Brooklyn Phoenix. And one other fact I'll mention is Karl Anthony Towns has 4 games this week, whereas Joker has only got 3. So, we're not dealing with the Joker for 4 games. They don't have Moneyman doesn't have CJ McCollum. So,
Yeah.
we better bring this victory. We better get on the right track. And I'm not talking about a 5-4. I'm talking about a statement victory, 6-3, 7-2. Let's stick it to the money, man.
Yeah, I agree. The key thing, like you mentioned, is probably going to be the first week we're seeing Cat and PG-13 play in your lineup together. Ben Simmons should be back hopefully next week. I don't know what's his injury right now.
He's just randomly sitting out games. It's like the
Oh,
flu.
he's sick. He's sick. Right? Yeah, he's sick. That's right.
Yeah, and so it's just really weird because it's like Ben Simmons, you're getting the flu. Aren't you wearing masks? And so I thought maybe there was some COVID, somehow, but I guess the flu is still here. I know the numbers are drastically down, but it's still a possibility
Yeah,
given all the health and safety protocols.
yeah. I'm going with the Brooklyn Phoenix here. I don't see quite enough in the lineup for money men, um, to be able to put together a win. But we'll see. Frankfurt takes on Syracuse this week. Syracuse hasn't really been able to put out a strong lineup, especially after the last two moves. Again, we know what's going down with the Sparrows. So yeah, Frankfurt, on the other hand, has coming off of a great win against your team. Um, they should be able to repeat. I mean, no reason why they can't repeat their winning ways this week. So I'm going with Frankfurt. What do you think?
Oh, Frankfurt, yeah. I mean, easy decision. Check mark, put them in, and I hope they continue to move up the standings, right? Because I'm still upset, still bitter that they were able to pull out a victory against my team. And so let's reduce those lottery odds as far as them getting a top pick in the next year's draft.
Yeah, Alonzo's been really, really good. Lonzo's been excellent. That trade is looking great for them right now. And Chris Paul playing at an All-Star level. Um, DeAndre Ayton is
He's hating. He's hating. He's cheap, and he's giving you a double double.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But Anunoby's back, kind of. And Wendell Carter came back as well, so maybe sign of good things to come. But again, I don't know how much Frankfurt wants to be winning right now. So I think they're in a kind of a precarious situation. We'll have to monitor what's going on with Frankfurt, because can't imagine they want to win too many games at this point. But I'm going with them. Cranston Killers take on Solid State. Solid State, um, looking coming off of a loss to King's Landing. Um, they've got their guys for the most part in the lineup. James Harden, as I mentioned, has been fantastic. But Collins has been dropping off a little bit, and Cranston, you don't come in half stepping against Cranston. So Cranston has Jason Tatum playing excellent. They should be able to come in and win this game. Do you agree?
yeah, I mean, I think it's fairly obvious to me that Cranston Killers more than likely, wins this matchup. As you stated, we've got All Star Jason Tatum. You got the King LeBron. With an incredible load that he's carrying for the Lakers, and Brandon Ingram, right? I mean, you got three players that will arguably be all stars, and Trey Young is now playing at a high level, and Pascal's getting defensive numbers again. So yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for Solid State. I think they're kind of just they're floating. They're floating into the playoffs. So yeah,
Yeah, just
Crimson
hitting a
Killers for me as well.
rough patch. In the schedule. Um, but they've got all their players, with the exception of Marcus Smart. Joe Jingling Baby Ingles has been a good stand-in for Solid State at this point. But I don't know how much longer he can sustain his play. Didn't play well in his last game, and we'll see if he could bounce back this week and help him out. But
Yeah, coincidentally, that's when Mike Conley returns back to the lineup. So that those two have just had a tough time coexisting. It's kind of
Yeah. I
Only
mean, the Jazz play better with Ingles in the lineup, so I don't know what they want to do with Conley. Could that affect Conley's playing time? Um, or have we know he wants to start, and I think it messed up Conley really badly when they had him coming off the bench. He just didn't look like the same guy for like 2 years. He didn't look like the same guy. But since last playoffs, he's been or the end of last season, he's been starting. And this year, obviously, he's playing much better. So, um, we'll see
it's
if
been
he'll.
tough for him, right? New system,
Yeah,
new area, right? You know, no longer playing with Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, right, and running the pick and roll. Like it's a funky offense in Utah, and so and he was dealing with the hamstring injuries. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, last matchup, Rucker Park and the NY Clinique. Any thoughts on this matchup here?
tons of it. So
Give it to me.
yeah, Clinique's got a 5 game advantage. It looks like going into the week. Looking like they've got a healthy schedule. Russell Westbrook is playing very well. Ja's been shaky, but I look for him to bounce back. Porzingis, he hasn't played a game in a while, so I think he's got a really strong chance of putting up some numbers. And Vooch, man, everybody keeps sleeping on that man, and he's just a monster. And Fred VanVleet, man, that guy's a problem. And on the other side of the ball, man, Rucker Park's got the injuries to Drew Holiday. He's still dealing with the health and safety protocol. Highly suspicious that he's probably got, unfortunately, gotten COVID. And some of my favorite forwards, and Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard, they're gonna need a strong performance from those guys if they're gonna battle, the game disadvantage that they've got. Giannis kind of Giannis, the Greek freak. He's been playing well as of late. So can that continue? We'll have to see. But I'm really concerned with the players that Rucker Park is throwing out there. Because Andre Drummond, you know, he doesn't have a team right now. I know we spoke about Cousins, but the GM or the franchise or the Cavaliers have come out and said, that he will no longer be playing for the Cavaliers. So they're looking for a trade partner, and that's got a lot of controversy around their decision to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really concerned about the quality of the depth that Rucker Park is going to be able to put out there against a team that's got 8 players that's going to be putting on counting stats.
Yeah.
And so I think, Rucker Parks, he's got this monster team, but he's going to be getting into the playoffs potentially in a wheelchair. He's probably going to have a bandage, an eye patch, probably
Yeah.
an ankle wrap. Gosh, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah. Yeah. This is actually a really good matchup. Uh, in terms of their personnel. Um, counting stats, like you mentioned, New York Clinique has a great opportunity to put up lots of numbers, especially with Russell Westbrook putting up triple doubles left and right, and Vujacic also throwing in triple doubles here and there too. Porzingis has been really strong, and most importantly, playing pretty much every game. Haven't seen him take any games off, really in his like the last 7 or 8 games. So, the only thing that's really stopping them is obviously with any postponed games or any continued disaster happening in Texas. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I don't see any reason why New York shouldn't be able to win this, coming in with advantage in terms of games played. I think they're got about 5 game advantage, something like that, against Rucker Park. But you can't count Rucker Park out, right? They've got lots of talent, specifically around Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, and Giannis. You never know what could happen, but I think NY has just enough firepower to kind of battle. I think they're built to battle Rucker Park, oddly enough. So gonna go ahead and take NYK. We'll see how this matchup pans out. All right, that concludes our picks for week 10.